What's up, your boy Vaughn, another reaction. In today's video, we have the Musashi Arc, why Baki is not what you think. Uh, Baki, bruh, Baki don't make no sense, but it's peak, my nigga. I finished Baki, finished the whole series on Netflix, watched all of it, bruh. Baki, bro, when it come to Baki, bro, you niggas be thinking too deep. I'll be seeing niggas on TikTok arguing, talking about some Jack Hanma is stronger than Baki. Why would a side character be stronger than the main character? Dumbasses. Jack Hammer got a lot of fans, bro. I be seeing niggas making tier lists of the strongest Baki characters and niggas putting Baki third. Gang, Baki is the main character, gang. Bro, the plot of Baki, bro, is strong ass, buff ass martial arts niggas. They fight each other and they call each other out for fights. If they had Baki beat everybody and the fight's not even competitive, he just washed everybody, that shit would not be entertaining. They have to make the fight somewhat interesting, you know what I'm saying? And make Baki take damage. If Baki just one punch knocked out everybody because, oh, I'm the main character plot, fuck it, I'm just gonna beat everybody, that shit wouldn't be fun. You know what I'm saying? That wouldn't be entertaining. You know what I'm saying?
The strongest.
Bro, if Yujiro, we all know Baki didn't beat the dog shit out of his dad, and his dad still said Baki is the strongest human on earth. But he's the main character. Nigga, if his dad said he the strongest nigga on earth, he's the strongest nigga on earth. Nigga, he's the main character, nigga. I would expect him to be.
Son was the strongest arc, which if you don't know,
Like, they have any debates, bro. Y'all think too deep when it come to Baki, my nigga. Baki still not stronger than his dad, bro. Nigga, if his dad said he's stronger, nigga, then nigga, he's stronger, gang. He's the main character.
is what the entire series has been leading up to. Unlike other
Literally, the plot of this anime is just niggas calling each other out to fights and fighting each other, and they fight in a tournament that's every 100 years. If they just had Baki beat everybody ass, and the fight's not even fair, that wouldn't even be fun.
series, Baki always had the end goal since the very first few chapters of the manga, and everything in the series up till now has been leading up to this
Like, y'all niggas would complain, talking about some Baki too OP, bro. He beat everybody.
fight. Baki going to the mountains, the whole last bench shit, him losing his mother, the fighting in the maximum tournament, the death row inmates, and especially, and my favorite, all of the events of Son of Ogre. All were leading up to this fight. So now, when the fight is done, and with a satisfying way at that, you would think that the manga would end, satisfying in high quotations, by the way. Well, that's what a 14, 15 year
Like, and these niggas is bringing back legendary niggas from the dead. Like, bro, just bring back Genghis Khan, my nigga. Bring back Alexander the Greek or some shit. Like,
old me thought too. And keep in
fuck it, I love to see Kratos in this shit. Just bring some fucking video game kids to this shit.
mind,
Yeah, put Kratos in the Baki and get that nigga the Blades of Olympus. I'm gonna get the base booster. Like, and with it, but Jack Hammer got a lot of glazes on TikTok game. Jack Hammer take PEDs. Nigga took drugs to get big and buff. Yes, he trained more than Baki, but no, that nigga not stronger than Baki. Like, gang, the manga is still going on, gang. It's a lot of shit I still don't understand with this anime. Nigga, is Yujiro's dad still alive? We seen the nigga as a ghost or whatever that was. Imagination, but is that nigga still alive?
and this is really
Like,
important.
it's a lot of shit we still don't know about this anime game.
I'm 15, and I don't know jack shit about narrative significance and all that fancy stuff at the time, and yet, even I thought, damn, this is kind of dragging stuff out, huh? And apparently I wasn't the only one who thought so, and I'm not talking about other Baki
Yeah, so you think after Baki and his dad fought, they should just ended the shit?
Can't either. Oh no. It was the characters in the manga themselves, with the first chapter in the manga being titled Yawn, and being filled with every character we've known being overwhelmed with a lethargic sense of boredom, stemming from the aftermath of the father versus son fight. So then, the question stands, why are we here? Well, it's because the guy from Vagabond was forcefully reincarnated into the modern world, and that's now everyone's problem. Looking back now, after so many years, I was so confused back then if I think about it, because narratively, the show should have been over, and even character-wise, the entire trope of a warrior from the past coming to a time that is not his has already been done, and beautifully I may add, with Pickle, in what is still to this day one of my most favorite arcs in all of manga, by the way, and my second favorite Baki arc in general.
Yeah, I get what he's saying though. Like, nigga, that's what everybody was waiting for, the father versus son fight. What more is there to do with this show? What more is there to add? Is y'all gonna bring aliens or a bigger threat? Cause the plot right now, bro, it's just niggas fighting each other. They all fight each other. They call each other out the fights. They gonna have to add like some aliens to this shit, like some bro, a bigger threat.
Maybe my favorite. I just realized it while giving the voiceover for this video. Okay, I'm not really sure which is my second or first favorite arc, but the other contender for that one is the arc that I'm going to talk about now, the Musashi arc. And that is largely in part due to how the character of Musashi speaks to the audience and the manga in such a meta sense. Musashi, here just like the manga, is not supposed to be here. Both of their times are done. Musashi's time ended with his death, which unlike Pickle, was a natural death, just like how the show should have ended with Baki versus Yujiro, the final set in tune for the show, ever since its beginning. But alas, here we are, with both of them returning. And this isn't just the only way this show speaks to itself. If you read the character and noticed it, the manga starts off with this upbeat atmosphere which everyone is hyped up about to see Musashi. It starts off with everybody being bored and then everybody's like hyped up. No, it's Musashi Miyamoto, with his meeting with Baki being one of the highlights of the arc. I mean, obviously he's the main character, but the way Musashi roams around modern Japan with his insatiable curiosity and fascination with the new world, where unlike Pickle, who was, although fascinated and curious, did not really have any civilization of his time that he would clash with the modern philosophy though. That sentence is definitely butchered up. Musashi speaks the same language, wears the same clothes, albeit a little bit different, and eats about the same food. And again, it's all in his own way. I'll get back to Pickle in a second. But the point I'm trying to bring up here is then by the end of the manga, all the fascination and curiosity that we, the audience, once had in Musashi is gone, and is instead replaced by this feeling of uneasiness and a certain uncanny valley factor coming off of him, with the manga reflecting it beautifully in its art style, may I add, where at the start, Musashi had a pretty similar face to the Vagabond guy, and now it's contorted and distorted to the strange.
Like, dang, bro, these niggas drunk imaginary tea. Like, and this nigga could chop niggas with an imaginary sword. Like, and these niggas is just pulling shit out their ass with this Baki show gang.
Look, a strange look which can only be described as odd and uncanny. A little fun detail I would also like to mention here is the quality of imagination in this arc, where Baki, the character, usually is the one who uses imagination to not only train but also fight, and the rest of the characters are the ones who can see said imagination. This arc uses imagination in the most metaphorical way, where looking at a person invokes a feeling in the other of a similar thing. And it's not how it sounds.
Yeah, like that imaginary shit. Imagine, in what the
Again,
fuck am I saying?
Example of this is when Musashi sees Baki for the first time. He sees his enormous banquet of dishes, each carefully crafted and put together carefully after years of refinement. A banquet which symbolizes the enormous array of techniques that Baki has at his disposal that have been refined after years of experience. Musashi also sees Hanayama as pure whiteness and purity, where his stance and fighting style are the ones that are pure and without tricks, alongside the way he chooses to conduct himself. But Musashi isn't the only one who can see these things. The other characters also see Musashi as different things, and ironically, it's nothing pleasant. Shibukawa sees him as a volcano. In fact, he didn't even need to see him. The entire route he took from his home to meet him was a trail of lava. Or take, for example, at the near end of the series where Hanayama fights him, and stark contrast to how Musashi sees him, all Hanayama can see is an empty blackness, a darkness of loneliness and a strange confusion, a darkness so boundless that Hanayama felt as if he was caged in. But the best of all, as always in Baki, was the ones by the two Hanmas. Yujiro saw Musashi for exactly who he was, as the thing Yujiro desires the most was the challenge that Musashi can give him, a stark contrast to Musashi, as Musashi sees Yujiro as a boundless pile of gold, reaching to the heavens, just like Baki's infinite buffet, as in his time, strength meant riches. Also, something I like to mention that Musashi also saw Pickle as a pile of gold, but not enough to reach the heavens as he has no skill, just strength. But
But then these niggas could just think of some shit and it's gonna pop up, like if they think hard enough. So, hey, maybe you know niggas always talk about manifestation shit. You could do that in real life, I guess. Let me think about $1 million. Let me see if it's gonna pop up right in your face. Riches, money. Let me see if this shit gonna pop in my account by tomorrow.
coming back to the point, Musashi sees Yujiro as a pile of gold. It's something that even Yujiro comments on is quite disappointing, as according to Yujiro, Musashi lacks purity. To him, fighting and strength is just a means to an end. However, Musashi answers by saying, is that even necessary? And he does have a point. All that about purity of the fight and the thrill. All the other characters that Musashi has been manhandling throughout the arc, they all had them in spades. So much so that they are willing to fight Musashi on his turf with weapons. But where did it lead them? And that seed, and that thought, infecting the others is the very thing Motobe is trying to so dearly to protect, which leads me swiftly into the next Hanma, Baki, who saw Musashi as a nuke. Or to be exact, the nuke has already detonated, and all there is a mushroom cloud of destruction and horror. But as you probably already know, the most scariest part of a nuke is the radiation spill out. That radiation, in this sense, being the mindset of Musashi. Something that personally I found really interesting on my reread of this arc, of course, because aside from being the first time we are looking at this kind of metaphor in the entire series, this is also the first time Baki is seeing Musashi, and the one with imagination so potent that he can harm himself through it saw a mushroom cloud. Not a nuke, no, it has already gone off. This is a destruction already unfolded. And just like a nuke, one thing you gotta worry about is that unseen danger that comes after. Danger that travels far and wide, penetrating and destroying the purity of anything it passes through. Just like the unseen danger of what this man stands for, radiating through the whole manga. See what I did there? But it's not just the other characters who are going through hell in this arc. The one to have it the roughest here is actually Musashi. Ever since the beginning of this arc, Musashi has been fascinated by everything of this world, and he's also fascinated by the fact that no one seems to really care about it. Things that seem to be normal and mundane to us are obviously not going to be normal and mundane to the samurai. Yada yada yada, you've already seen this already. Done with Pickle already, and accumulation into the way things are, and not to mention, Musashi is a samurai from 400 years ago, and Pickle is from 200 million years ago. He doesn't even know the language we speak. But that's the point. Pickle is a caveman who has suddenly come to our world. But Musashi, he's the past of our world. Unlike Pickle, Musashi can think profoundly of subjects. He has thoughts and opinions aside from just ooga booga me hungry, and to give credit where credit is due, the entire Pickle arc was around the fact that this caveman, who never actually lived in a cave, by the way. He was just, in fact, killing dinosaurs and making them retreat to caves, coming to understand and learn about the modern world. A really fun dilemma is throughout the entire arc, it doesn't really seem like he has any interest in doing so. Matter of fact, I won't blame you if you got the impression that this guy isn't even trying. But there lies the interesting part. Where Pick
So what was the point of this fucking arc, this Musashi arc? What the fuck? I'm listening, trying to understand, but like, what the fuck is the?
Pickle adapted and found a soft spot for the modern times, Musashi could not. The entire arc, Musashi always speaks curiously of things. He openly lets attacks land just to see their effect, and he always has internal dialogue of fascination, even to the point that he exclaims things as learning opportunities. Heck, the first thing he did after coming back to life was verbally question something. In stark contrast to Pickle, who just came out and started eating whatever he could find. However, just like Pickle, our initial impression of this guy is most likely wrong. And don't get me wrong, this guy is genuinely curious, and he does want to see what's up with the world, but he doesn't really care about it. There is this part in the manga where Musashi says to Baki that it has been a while now that he has already come to the realization that cutting will not bring him to the top in this age. However, after his fight against Hanayama, he notes how cutting did in fact give him notoriety. But it's not exactly the same as the fame of ancient Japan, is it? Or worst case scenario, the radiation may mold the time itself, corrupting it to its very core, and who knows if it's already in effect. And by the way, since we're talking about Yuichiro anyways, I'd also like to mention what an absolute gem he has been this arc. Back in Son of Ogre and beyond, he used to be this absolute complete force of domination and intimidation, and don't get me wrong, he still pretty much is the same. A fact that he made well aware of Musashi's crotch, not in that way, but his interactions with the rest of the
Why
cast
they always hitting a nigga in the dick on this show? He hit that boy in the dick. Why do you always do that on her?
well aware of Musashi's crotch, not in that way, but his interactions with the rest of the cast are so gold sharp for some reason. The series actually always starts with this cool interaction between him and Hanayama, and his conversations with Morobe are pure gold. I don't think we've ever seen Yujiro like this, aside from the maximum tournament stuff. Nah, with the Chinese tournament, my bad. But there is actually a reason for Yujiro being so approachable this arc. It is to go to show that no matter how isolated he is, and how lonely he feels himself when it comes to strength, he still is a part of this time, and one that feels right in place like he should be. And that is why none of those interactions feel out of place. In fact,
8 reaction images for a nigga face. Look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. Wait, 1. 9.
they feel like the
What the fuck was the point of that?
natural progression of Yujiro throughout the series, while still undoubtedly being Yujiro Hanma. Something, once again, which is in stark contrast with Musashi. And even though Musashi talks to everyone in the series, it never really feels like a conversation. In fact, it just feels like two guys saying their own points, which eventually ends in a fight. Or it's just Musashi plowing through his opponents or getting tossed around. In fact, the only normal conversation in the entire series is his quote-unquote conversation with Pickle. The guy who can't even talk, nor understand, just to be clear. In fact, to this day, I have no idea what they spoke about, or to be exact, what Musashi was speaking about. But the thing to note here is that this was the only conversation where Musashi left understanding something. And as I'm sure I made abundantly clear that I don't know what that something
What? Bitch, he a caveman. Understanding what? But it's arc stupid. What?
is, but one of the things he asked Pickle, actually the main focal point of what his conversation was, is when he asked Pickle, how does he manage to live in this time? And
Huh?
ironically, in the moment when there was no sound in the sewer aside from the flow of that dirty, cruel, and yet alive water, is when Musashi says the words, I understand. When Musashi first arrives here to meet Pickle, Pickle feeds him brain matter,
Ew. Ew. What the fuck?
stuff that in a living thing is used for cognition and understanding. Something that Musashi comments on was very tasty. At the end, however, when Musashi's about to leave, Pickle hands him the guts of another
Ew.
animal that he just hunted. Stuff that does the job of digesting and absorbing the nutrients out of whatever that is consumed. Something that Musashi says that he will cook it and eat it later.
Uh, okay. Yeah. The writing in Baki is fucking horrible, my nigga. I ain't getting none. This arc ain't make no sense. What was the point? What the fuck? I guess, bro. Okay. And that's how it ended. Niggas eating brains and intestines. That's how the arc end. I guess.